Today on In the Closet, Jeff and I have a very good friend of ours from Atlanta joining our conversation. His name is Stafford. He and his wife, Tasha, own Icon Studios in Atlanta, which they have hosted a wide range of some of music's greatest recording artists.
That's right.
Yes, he's also an empowerment speaker to youth. His platform is called Y.E.S, Y-E.S, Youth Empowered to Succeed. Stone is also in the process of writing his first book called Success Matters. So welcome to In the Closet.
Stone
Family.
Stafford.
I'm family, man.
He's
I'm not
family.
kidding. Family.
It's the truth. Family.
What's up?
It's awesome to have you, Stone. I'm glad you took the time. I know you're busy. You got 100 things going on, it seems like, watching your social media, so
Yep.
I know you're busy.
Yeah, we saw you at that Atlanta game today. How'd that go?
That was a great game, you guys. And it was my first time in the Mercedes-Benz Stadium, so that was pretty awesome. We were seated near the top, so my thighs, my hands, my glutes, and my quads are like ringing right now.
You got leg day, right?
I really do. I really want to put on some really extra tight Levi's and just kick it.
You better do it while you have the chance and take those pictures.
I'm telling you, man, if Jim Carrey saw me, he'd be like, he must work out.
That was a good game.
It was a very good game. Very good game.
And
So yes, I was there with my nephew and with Upward Bound. It's a mentorship program that sometimes I'm involved in. So that was pretty cool.
That's awesome. So is it kind of like Big Brothers and Big Sisters, or no?
It is. It just kind of links students with mentors and with different programs. Just to give sometimes disadvantaged students, but not just disadvantaged students, it's really open for any youth that want to be a part of it, and just provide them access to, like this one in particular is providing them access to entrepreneurs in different career fields, just to kind of, open and broaden their vision on different options that they have in life and stuff like that. So that pretty much was the goal of this one. Then we went to the game afterwards.
I mean, we have 3 teenage girls, and it's so very important, and these are very critical years for the kids, and to have someone as yourself to look up to, that's very important, and it speaks to me. I love it. I saw that on your Instagram. I didn't know you were doing that, and I was looking into it today. I think it's awesome.
Yeah, it's fun, and I think I've kind of found my lane. It's always been my lane all my life. I just never really owned it. So I've kind of taken ownership of it now, but it kind of sucks a little bit because anyone that knows Stone knows that, I can walk the line.
Right.
So but now the more, I guess, like influence I have and stuff, I find that I have to be a little bit more responsible with things I post and stuff like that. So I'm not going to lie. It stinks sometimes because you have to let some really good jokes and puns just go because you can't. You're like, oh, my God, this will be so perfect, but I can't post it. Too many kids,
I know, because there's kids watching. We have the same problem with our social media and my social media as well. I have a fitness page and I post things there, but then we have, our In the Closet page, which this podcast, like we told you before we turned on the microphone here, is just kind of all over the place. And sometimes we get raw, sometimes we get real, and sometimes we get Jeff and Angie up in the closet. And then we got to remember, you kind of sometimes got to dial it back because we have, our kids are teenagers, they're friends. I mean, I don't think they're really listening, but maybe they are. So it's kind of...
You never know.
You never know.
No, you don't.
But
and I have a tough time holding back sometimes. It's just
yeah, Jeff's a little worse than
my
me.
personality. When I get loose, I just start
man,
having fun.
I'm there with you.
You know.
I know your dad, so I'm there with you.
So let's take it back a minute on how we all met, because we all met in Atlanta. I don't know. Jeff introduced me to you, but how did you? I don't even remember how y'all came about. Other than
Emily, my sister, was right. Is that how you guys met my family?
It is. That's my first foray into the Runyon clan. She was taking vocal lessons or recordings or whatever with a lady named Jane Olderman up in Norcross or Duluth, and I used to work with Jane all the time. And so, Emily actually had called Jane while I was there at her studio working, and Jane was like, "Oh, I'm here with this guy, Stone Stafford. He's this and he's that, and this is Emily. She's so sweet." Now Emily had to be. Granted, I didn't know who Emily was, so obviously I didn't even know how old Emily was. I think Emily was like 15 or some crap.
Yeah,
that sounds
so.
right.
Me being stoned, she put me on the phone with her. I said, "Hey, Emily, how are you?" And so she said, "Oh, I'm fine. It's nice to meet you." Because Jane kind of, ran down what I did in the music industry and stuff. And so I said, and I just like to break the ice.
yeah.
So my very first sentence after how are you to Emily was, "So Emily, tell me." I said, "Do you prefer boxers or thongs?"
Bruh.
I lie to you not. That was the very first thing I asked her.
Oh,
and Jane was like,
gosh.
"Oh my gosh, no!" And then Emily she was just laughing. She didn't know what to say.
Right.
And she was like, And then Jane whispered, "Goes, she's 15."
Oh.
I was like, "Oh crap."
That's exactly
So,
my problem.
did she answer your question?
I don't think she did. I'm glad she didn't, because at that point I just went and took a shower.
Oh my gosh.
I felt so dirty, man. I was like, man.
Oh man.
So that's
But that's how I met her.
okay. So that's how we all came, I
And
guess, to know each other.
It just became family. Started coming to your parties. Like I missed that Christmas party. That was always fun.
Yeah, that was always great, because I used to do that thing called Life in the Light at Sony when I worked at Sony. It was kind of like a Bible study for entertainment people, and your mom Emily brought your mom or something like that, because they were working with Alan. You guys know Alan.
Oh
Right,
yeah.
yeah.
Alan's
Yeah,
great.
so they were doing vocal lessons with Alan, and Alan had visited, and then he brought your mom and Emily one night, and that's how I first met your mom. Or
okay.
I call her mom now myself, to be honest with you. So that's when I first met her, and then she invited us out to you guys' house, and that's when we all first met for the first time. And honestly, just Tasha and I fell in love with you guys immediately.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, same
Seriously.
here.
Seriously.
You and Tosh.
Yes. How is Tosh anyway?
She's good,
Aw.
she's good. She's dog walking and pet sitting and stuff now, so.
Sweet.
Yeah, she loves it. I mean, she kind of just has time to do whatever she wants to do, and pets are a very big passion for her, so she just dove into that world, and that's what she does now.
That's awesome to be able to put those two together, something that you love to do, and she probably doesn't even look at it as a job, really, but that's awesome.
Right. Yeah, trust me, she doesn't. Sometimes Princess gets better treatment than I do.
Princess, your dog?
Amen.
It is. She's our boxer. Like, Tosh made me some food one time, or Tosh ate some food. She brought some food home, I'm sorry. It was really good. I mean, it was like something from like Stony River Steakhouse or something like that. And she was like, "Babe, do you want this?" I was like, "Yeah, great. Save it for me." So I go in later that night to get it, and it's gone. Now I'm like, "What happened to the leftovers?" She goes, "Oh, I gave it to Princess."
Oh my
I'm
gosh.
like, "What?"
Jeff would probably have a heart attack in the middle of the kitchen.
I would lose it. It'd be bad.
Man,
news.
that has happened a few times. I was like, "All right, I see where my place is in this household."
Aw.
Yeah.
But it's
Yeah,
all
you're
good.
you're
It's
just
all good.
just
She knows
below
you can
Princess.
fend for yourself.
Exactly.
So let's back it up a minute. We didn't even discuss you and Tosh together own a recording studio in Atlanta, Icon Studios, correct?
That is correct. We own Icon Studios. This is about maybe third largest studio in the city, 10,000 square feet, 4 rooms, writing rooms. And it's become a popular spot. So we've definitely had a lot of people work out of there. So that's been pretty awesome.
So it's an actual recording studio. It's not where you go to put your music out there to get a label, that kind of thing, right? It's just to kind of record to prepare the artist
Right.
for that next step. Am I right?
You're right. Yeah, it's just where you come and record. We actually have a rehearsal room so you can practice your shows and stuff. But yeah, we're not a label. We don't actually put your music out or put you out or anything like that. No.
Gotcha. So, okay. Do you do like talent scouting? Like, are you guys on the lookout and then you have them record in there and then try to push them in a direction? Or do you do anything like that at all?
I mean, I used to, but that was outside of Icon, because
Okay.
Icon is literally just a place where you rent studio time.
Okay.
But just throughout my career, I've been a music publisher really, and that's so I will work with writers and producers. But I've managed some artists and had some on The Voice and stuff like that. But I'm kind of out of that now. it's not really my lane,
Uh-huh.
And so now, if I come across something that blows my mind, which I actually did recently, a young 16-year-old writer, so I'm working with her, but she'll probably more than likely she's going to be the only person I work with.
Okay.
'Cause I'm not really trying to represent a bunch of people, so
Okay.
yeah.
So basically, you worked with you worked with like Ludacris and some other big stars, then a Runyon, and you were like, I'm good now. I work after you worked with some Runyons, you were like,
I was done. That was the whole thing I was waiting for. They're like, man, when are you going to work with? I said, dude, get me in with a Runyon, and I'm on to the next phase of my life.
Oh my goodness. Well,
Today is a special day.
It was the opposite. It ran you out of it.
Right?
It was like, man, I'm done with this business.
This is what we got. Well, I was going through your Instagram the other day, and I ran across that picture of you and Ludacris, and I got super jealous because I used
She's
to,
a huge crush.
or maybe I still do, have a slight crush on Ludacris.
Sure.
And I had a dream one night that he wanted me to be in one of his music videos. Because he said I had good legs. Well, I don't have good legs. But thank you, Ludacris, for in my dream saying that I do. But I declined because I can't dance. So I declined in my dream.
You don't even have to dance anymore. You just sit there and pose.
Right?
That's true.
I saw a video the other day. I forget. Who was it? Oh, shoot. I forget who it was, but the video they were in, the song is actually a really kind of nasty song. But the video,
What
they
songs
pulled it
aren't
up.
nasty?
I know. But it was, who was it? He was just in a square box. Two people in a square box walking down a hallway.
Was it Kanye?
It might have been Kanye. It was the stupidest video ever, but I watched it.
Does it work?
Yeah, that's how it works. That's how it is nowadays. It's amazing.
You got to be a little crazy, a little out there to get people to notice you anymore.
Just dumb it down. That seems to be what we're all, what most people are attracted to now. Just dumb it down. Don't turn your. And I get it because sometimes it's a bit of an escape, so you get to turn your brain off. But I don't know.
Well, I mean, that's kind of how we did our election. I mean, we dumbed it down.
Oh,
That
gosh.
worked.
Let's
Not want to go there with me, buddy.
Don't go. Hey, listen. He tries to sneak this in every conversation that we have. And
I don't. I'm not political. I hate politics.
I'm not going for it. I can't do politics. No.
I hate politics, and I don't like.
I'll tell you what. We'll do. I won't get political, but I will say this, which I think is important. Especially now, you guys are based in Georgia. We're in Georgia, so we have. I mean, of course, all over there's a gubernatorial race coming up,
Right.
and I do want to encourage people who normally don't vote to get out and vote. And the reason why I say that is a lot of people think their votes don't count. Now, where the presidential race is concerned, I can kind of get your argument. The whole electoral college, which I think is time to do away with, I get it because even if you vote and you get all this popular stuff, even like in the race we had where the popular vote leaned one way, once it goes to the electoral college, all of a sudden the candidate you didn't want wins. But with the gubernatorial race, it's all about the popular vote. There is no electoral college. So your vote actually quite literally matters.
Right.
Yeah.
Like there is no such thing as, well, I don't think it's going to matter. No, like literally if it's 500 to 500 and then you go vote, it's going to be 501 to 500. So it absolutely matters. And there's a part about voting that no one ever really pays attention to. Maybe because they don't know, maybe they just don't pay attention to. And that is when we vote, it is both for the current race and for the next race. Because what they do, any candidate that is potentially going to run for the next race, they are looking at the data of the people who voted, the issues they voted on, and who they voted for. And that data is taken into consideration quite literally of who's going to run next time. So if you have someone who, let's say you got Stacey Abrams and Kemp running right now, even if Stacey Abrams were to lose or something like that, people are going to watch and see how many people were voting for her for what certain issue.
Right.
And then they will say, you know what, there actually is a very big demand for this. We need to get behind so-and-so on this next race because that's what they stand for. It looks like they're really going to have a big shot. So all of that stuff matters. So even if your candidate doesn't win, your vote data is still going to count towards what's going to happen next. And a lot of people don't pay attention to that.
Yeah, I did not know that.
now your listeners kind of have something else to go on, but especially where the governors are concerned, your vote 100% absolutely counts.
Yeah.
There are no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
Yeah.
And that's very important to get out there because people
So
really don't.
There's our politics.
There we go.
I like it. Very positive.
Yes. Please.
Go vote, people. Go vote.
Yeah, police.
But a big thing for me, and I'm not going to get real political, but a big thing for me that I'm irritated about, or I get irritated about when it comes time to vote, is people voting, but they don't do any research, and they go with either their uncle's vote, their family's vote, or
right.
they don't really get, or they go with, the worst thing they can do is listen to Fox News or CNN. You know what I mean?
Right.
Some slanted media base where
right.
I really want my kids. I try to preach to them. It's important to vote. You need to vote, but if you're going to vote, it's a responsibility, and part of that responsibility is doing your homework.
Exactly. Do you guys have you ever heard of the news channel Newsy?
No.
Oh my gosh, that's my new news channel.
Really?
Their 100% sole mission is just give the news without angle,
Ooh.
without slant, without any kind of spin. It's newsy. I watch them every day, and even when they're talking about Trump and stuff like that, sometimes if you listen carefully enough, you can tell they might not care for him or something. But the way they deliver it, they just give it. They say, "Hey, Trump did this today, and blah blah blah, and the numbers did this." That's it. So, they don't sit there and then say, "Well, yeah, but but if you look back, and they don't put anything else on it. They just say whatever the stats are. That's all it is." I love it.
I love that.
I wish it was all that way. Spell that. How do you spell it?
Newsy is Newsy. Their slogan is It's news with the Y.
Okay. I didn't know if it was I or Y. That's interesting. Is it an actual channel, or is it something that you have to look up like on your iPad or your phone or something?
It is available online, so you can actually watch it online. But it is part of a cable lineup, so we have it on our cable package. And most people probably should, but if you don't, you can watch them online. Okay. And there was a recent thing posted up, and I was watching on the Weather Channel the guy in North Carolina, and he was reporting, and he was really struggling against the wind, right?
Yeah.
And I believe it.
We saw this.
You saw that, man. Before I even saw the guys walk by, I was just like, there's just something about the way he's fighting against the wind that just seems off. I don't know what it is, but I didn't pay it any mind. I was like, hey, but then these two guys just come walking by, la. I'm like, what the freak?
Yeah.
That was the funniest thing I saw. And today we were in the parking lot. Of course, we're in West Virginia, right? So we we're getting rain. I said, Jeff, if it starts getting windy at all, we're going to record you just struggling so hard while everybody else just walks by because of that video you posted. It was so funny. It was actually embarrassing.
Everything.
It is.
The media really.
They gave him the directive to do that. They said, really really show that the winds are blowing hard. But they give them directives. Right. They do it in radio too. They do it in radio too. It's crazy.
It's like it's a big production. It's like you have to have somewhat of an acting skills to be any type of news reporter.
Nah, yeah, it's entertainment, not news. So yeah, Jeff, I'm glad you guys are doing that with the girls, and everyone should do that. Learn the stuff on your own so you can make your own decision. Don't vote by party because that's what your family does and all this stuff. And learn the stuff on your own. I agree with you guys 100%.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's important in politics. I think it's important with your spiritual walk. Whatever it is, you got to really find things for yourself, or you're not going to be able to really feel good about it. Or really know yourself. So
yeah,
I agree.
So you said before when we were off the phone that you go every Saturday and do a motivational talk on KISS 104 there in Atlanta. Did I hear you right?
Yeah. Of course, I record them most of the time and just send them in. But yesterday, I was on live. And that was fun, and he'll bring me in live a little bit more because it went really well.
Good.
But yeah, it's just 1 minute, 90 seconds of just. The title is Success Matters. It goes along with the book that I'm working on, Success Matters, and it's just all about matters of success. And everything from your mental to financial to physical, everything just about being successful and all the things that go along with it. And so I just give nuggets, once a week for people to chew on throughout the week.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's what kind of I was telling Ange. I really wanted to get you on here because I love watching your stuff and what you're doing because I know you speak a lot. You go around, you talk to youth, and you have such a positive message and direction for people. I think kids are missing direction as they come up through high school and I'm we have kids in high school, so I see that the direction they get is right here. Me and Ange, teachers do a great job with what they do, but there's so much more.
Yeah.
And to get to college and then to be a young adult that gets out of college, or maybe you don't even go to college, but to have someone, I mean, you're speaking at colleges and to groups. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, my whole thing, it started a couple of ways. One, I've always had just an affinity with kids. We've always got, even when I was a kid myself, me and kids, just there was always a connection. I mean, I had my first job was a babysitter. I was 14 years old and I was a nanny. So
nice.
I mean, that's always been that way. But in music, my passion really started growing towards people learning this business and getting it and doing it right. And of course, a lot of the people that wanted to get in it were younger. So that kind of just automatically had me dealing with youth a lot. And I've always been in youth ministry anyway, like pretty much all my life. So I've always dealt with youth with that and just getting people to understand things. That's a big passion of mine. And so that's when I got into it. But what I've really honed in the focus on is just not just with youth, but people, period, but just being accountable and taking ownership for their life. And what I mean by that is that, whether you succeed or whether you fail, either one you do, it's your fault.
Amen.
One way or the other. If you succeed, it's your fault. But if you fail, it's your fault. And that's not to say that bad things don't happen to you. That's not to say that things don't happen to you that, knock you back or knock you down. But it's still your decision to stay down. It's still your decision to decide if I'm going to be a victim or a victor. And I've said this to, people's, their mouth will drop or I hear a gasp and I'm like, look, I don't care if you've been abused. I don't care if you were adopted. I don't care if you were abandoned. I don't care, whatever it may be. Those things are horrible. And I definitely have sympathy and empathy for you. But where you end up after that is your fault.
Oh, yeah, that is so good.
Yeah, and that's what I just want kids to understand. Because unfortunately, I'm just super disappointed in a lot of parenting nowadays. I mean, we are so soft on our kids. Like, it makes me just throw up in my mouth every day. Like, God forbid your kid sheds a tear. Then all of a sudden, you've ruined them for the rest of their life.
Yes.
I'm like, get off it. I mean, do you understand that life is outside your door with brass knuckles waiting for your child, and you're doing zero to prepare them for that?
Yes.
So that's it. So I understand I can't really do a whole lot about the parents. I do speak to parents sometimes.
Yeah.
But my thing is with the kids, I'm like, look, this is what it is. And at the end of the day, either you own it or you don't. But either way, you can't blame anyone. You can't blame mom, dad, school, teachers, whatever, bullies. You can't blame any of them. It's your fault. So you just decide which side of the coin you want to be on,
right,
and do it. So that's pretty much where I am.
We deal with that. We were talking about that earlier today, how soft parents are and how kind of the world judges you because, I mean, I grew up, my dad was always a harsh disciplinarian. We got whipped. We got knocked upside the head, and we were allowed to fail. You know what I mean? We were sitting out there and allowed to screw things up. And that's the biggest issue I have with my kids, and that we're always beating them over the head with, is there's always an excuse. There's always an excuse. And there's always a reason, and it's, it's always the teachers that they're doing bad in their class, that those teachers don't like them. But they never complain about the teachers they're doing well in those classes.
It's never their fault. It's always someone else. They failed the class not because they didn't study, not because they didn't prepare, but because the teacher doesn't like them. That's why they failed. I mean, they won't, you know what I mean? It's just...
And we don't tolerate that. I mean,
I mean, and the parents that tend to coddle, they think that, well, just because you got spankings doesn't mean you have to spank your kids. Just because your parents were strict doesn't mean, and we get that. I'm not sitting there saying that just because I got my butt whooped, that automatically now means that every child should get their butt whooped. I'm not saying that. You deal with a child on their own on basic individual things. But what I'm saying, but I know parents literally where, like, all right, my nephew, you know, his mom and we both told him something twice, and he disobeyed her twice. So, you know, first time he did get a spanking.
Right.
But you know what? It didn't stick. Okay, so, well, that plan didn't work. I'm not going to keep on spanking him. That doesn't work.
Right.
So you switch. You know, one thing he hates, though, is he hates physical labor. He hates it. So I was like, so I had all this mulch outside. I was like, you were going to shovel that mulch, and you're going to carry it back to my doggy run and dump it back here. The entire mulch. And it was warm. I'll admit it was kind of hot outside. So I was like, look, he's going to work for 20 to 30 minutes, come inside in the AC, drink cold water, break for 10 to 15 minutes, go back out for another 30, and we'll do it back and forth. So that way he's healthy, nothing's wrong. And, you know, I don't want to name names. There's some adults around, and their hearts were just breaking. Can he come in now? He's been working for 10 minutes. His skin is red. He's sweating. I'm just like, oh, my gosh, are you kidding me right now? And there are parents that are like that. They can't bear to see their children suffer in any way.
Right.
And I'm like, you're not doing them any favors by doing that. So it's hard to get that through their heads.
It is. You have to you have to get on their level. Like, you have to almost, I have spoke their language, if you know what I mean. You have to get and relate to them in a way they understand. And like one time that they didn't clean their rooms, right? Multiple times I've asked them to clean their rooms, and they won't clean them, and then they'll come and mess up what I've just, cleaned up. I just cleaned up the kitchen. They'll come in and they'll mess it up right after, and I can't get through to them. So one day, they did clean their rooms really, really good. And I decided to teach them a lesson, and I went and trashed it and made them do it again, because that's what they do to me. So I parent in that kind of way. Like, okay, you are not going to beat me. I will win, but I'm going to get creative with it. So we try to do, like, creative things like that. It's a little bit non-traditional, but
it works.
And at the end of the day, you're right, Jeff. It's whatever works. And that's the bottom line, you know. Some kids, you can sit down and just have a conversation and lay it out and explain the pros and the cons, the do's and the don'ts, and they get it.
Right.
But there are some kids that'll sit there and look at you and say, yes, ma'am, yes, ma'am, yes, sir, blah, 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 blah. And then in their minds, flip you the bird.
Oh, yeah.
And they'll do what they want. And I'm like, you need to find another way of doing that. Like, when I used to speak at Griffin, I watched these kids talk to these teachers. Like, I was sitting in classes just observing. I wasn't supposed to say anything. I couldn't sit there. Like, I had to ask. I said, can you give me 5 minutes? And they were like, please. And I stood up and I addressed these kids. And of course, you know, some of them, I was a stranger, and then I was kind of husky or whatever, and this black guy. So they were like, oh. You know?
Right.
So, but I'm letting them know. I'm talking to them direct. But there's some kids, I think, look, the reason why some of you aren't listening to your teachers and you're cussing at your teachers and all this, because you have no repercussion at home. You know your parents aren't going to do anything. So there's no healthy fear. And it's a healthy fear, a reverent fear. There's no reverent fear of your parents at home. So therefore, you're going to do whatever you want in school. And of course, I wasn't going to do anything. But one kid, he kept trying me.
Yeah.
I said, I'm going to say this one time. I said, I am not on staff at this school. They don't pay me. I don't have the same rules to follow as the teachers do. I said, I want you to think about that for a moment before you say another word to me. He was like, yeah, of course I wasn't going to do anything, but you know, it made him think about it for a second.
Yeah, he probably didn't say anything back to you, did he?
No, he didn't actually. And actually, it was so funny, Angie, is when we were done, and I was standing at the door saying all goodbye to them, they're going on to the bus. Guess who was the first one not to say goodbye, not to shake my hand, but to give me a hug?
Yes.
Was that kid? First one that gave me a hug. He's like, are you coming back tomorrow?
Yeah.
You gave him direct attention, though, even if it was just, I mean, that's what we see, and I don't even know if you know this, but we adopted a 14-year-old girl 3 years ago.
I didn't know that.
Yes, her biological mom's hooked on heroin, meth, whatever, and she came home with my daughter to stay the night, and we never could find a place to take her that was safe, so we ended up keeping her.
Wow. Wow, good for you guys, man.
But what you just said, I can relate to because of when we disciplined her. It's not so much now. She's acclimated incredibly.
Yeah.
Like she is one of our children. But that first year, when you disciplined her, it's like a form of love
Yeah.
that she never has understood. Because nobody ever, if she didn't get up and get herself to school, she didn't go to school. If she didn't fix herself something to eat, there were no boundaries for when she goes to bed, when she gets up. Nobody was there for her. So for 14 years. And she was living in different crack houses, whatever, with different people all the time. So it shocked me to go to discipline her and see her receive it and actually, be affectionate.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you got to remember, love won't be denied. And the thing is, when you say disciplining a child or spanking a child or do anything like that, like a lot of these parents who just coddle, they automatically assume or equate it with anger.
Yes.
And that's not the case. That's not the case at all. It's and now don't get me wrong. I know there are some parents out there that do, spank their children, hit them out of anger and stuff like that. So obviously I'm not talking about those parents. Those parents need to, they need help with training or counseling or whatever to learn it the right way.
Well, they shouldn't be striking a child if it's anger. If it's out of anger.
Correct.
They
but my
shouldn't
thing
be
is,
doing it.
you can't deny the power of love. And when you do discipline a child out of love, you just have to have faith that love is going to translate itself. And the thing is, it will. It will translate itself because it's going to affect the way you do it. And like with my nephew, I took custody of him. And so ironically, he's about to be 16.
Okay.
And he's here, and we had a pretty rough run his first time, and he decided he wanted to go home, and my sister agreed, and it kind of ticked all of us off. Yeah. But then when he got home, he started reflecting on everything that I was putting him through and doing and comparing it to the environment he went back to.
Right.
And it was him who called me and said, can I come back?
Oh, yeah.
Because it's out of love. And I'm going to tell you, he did something one time so bad and so disrespectful. He got a what do you call it, a hell and fury or whatever you call it, fire and fury butt whooping.
Okay.
And but the thing was, I prayed before I did it. And then I walked in. I said, you understand what's about to happen? He said, yep. I said, you understand why it's about to happen? And he said, yep. I said, explain. So he explained it to me. I said, okay. And then without any warning, I just unleashed on him, right? Just real quick, real fast.
Right.
Lasted probably all of like 3 minutes. But it was a painful 3 minutes.
Right.
And so he's done. I'm done. I walk out. I kind of feel like crying,
Oh, yeah.
Then,
yes, sir.
Yeah. So he came downstairs finally. And then we sat and we talked again for another 10, 15 minutes. All right, why did that happen? This and that. And is this because I enjoy that? Is this because I don't like you? No, it's because I love you. Why is it because I love you? And I explained it all out. And then, of course, I told him how amazing he is and that all that did was supposed to show him how amazing he can be. That's all it is. And that was a wrong turn you took. And all I want you to know is say, hey, next time I'm tempted to take that wrong turn, I just want your butt to tingle. You know? And and you're going to be like, you know what? I'm not doing that again.
Right.
And sure enough, it happens. He had some kids that wanted him to go get high. And he was like, man, if my uncle finds out, he will kill me.
Right.
I'm like, thank you.
A healthy fear kept me out of so much trouble.
Oh, same, yeah.
I'm telling you, man, it's a reverent fear. It's not a fear that they can't talk to you or like they're scared of you. It's not that kind of fear.
Right.
It's a respect fear.
Right.
Absolutely.
So I don't know. Some parents will get it, some don't.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Well, you're doing your kid a disservice. Like you said, they're going to walk out of your house one day, and we've all done it. We've all left and faced the world and been hit with some really hard things in life. And if you've been coddled, you don't know. I think that's the big problem with marriage, and we've talked about that a million times. But I think one of the best things my dad did for me about marriage was told me it wasn't easy.
Right.
It's not a fairy tale. You don't just fall in love, you get married, and everything's awesome. You're going to have times where you could leave. Things could get bad. Somebody's going to do something stupid. Somebody's going to, you're going to do something stupid. It's not going to be roses, and you need to understand it's work. And people think, what, you're not in love if it's work. Well, everything worth having, you got to work hard for, I believe. And you got to
you're 100% right.
You got to struggle a little bit to make it worth it.
I mean, not even a little bit, dude. You have to struggle, period. Like I tell people all the time, like, pain and struggle, that's a prerequisite for success.
Yes.
I mean, look at the body changes that you two have gone through. That crap was uncomfortable.
Oh, yes.
You had to give up stuff you love to eat. You had to work out in hours you didn't want to work out. Then you had the lactic acid burning through your freaking vein. Your muscles are burning. It's uncomfortable.
Exactly.
But look what happened. Like, you did your body good. And people need to understand it. It's like taking English 101. You can't take English 102 without English 101.
Right.
And so when you try to run away from failure, you're literally running away from success. And I tell them that all the time. And I don't care if it's marriage, if it's pursuing your dreams or your goals, your job, whatever it is. There are three things that are always involved. The first thing is a choice. You have to make a choice. You have to decide. And you know when you've decided something. Whenever you've truly decided something, think of anything you've ever made a choice to do. The very next thing that followed was an action.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So if you say, yeah, I want to do this, I'm choosing to do it. If you've never taken an action, you didn't choose. All you're doing is thinking about it and wishing. But the moment you know you made a choice, there was an action. And then once you take the action, you have to commit. And that's where most people fail on the commitment part, especially in marriage. And I told these kids, I said, this is the best way I can define commitment. And I think I heard it somewhere. I was like, commitment is sticking to the choice that you made when the mood you were in when you made it has left the building.
Yes.
That's it, man.
That's what commitment is.
That's dead on.
That's going to be in marriage. That's going to be in working out. That's going to be in your job. It's going to be anything, because the day you got your job, you were super excited. The day you got married, you were all googly in love. The day you started working out, you had this picture of what you're going to look like. Everyone's all excited.
Yep.
24, 48 hours, a weekend after the honeymoon, that crap's gone.
Yes.
It's hard.
Then what are you going to do?
Right.
That's when you decide if you're committed or not.
That's what I said that to somebody once. I was joking with them, but they said something about someone, they're going to get divorced because one of them fell out of love. I said, man, I'm really happy right now. I'm glad when I fell out of love that time, I didn't get divorced.
Yeah.
Man, shoot, we fall out of love freaking like every Thursday.
I mean,
yeah.
Right, exactly.
I mean,
but it's so true. It's so true. People don't know how to do relationships anymore, and it goes back just to what we were talking about the kids, that, they have the mentality of, it's not my fault, it's yours. Everything, what do you mean I did? And it's just a big vicious cycle, and it's hard to break out of. But
there's this illusion that people think that it's easier to start over and they'll do it right the next time. Just like in a job, when you get behind, I'm in sales, and I've been in that situation, and I've done it, where you get behind, where things get tough, and it's going to be a climb to get out. So you brush up that resume, instead of climbing out, and you lose focus on your goals even more while you're looking to escape.
I tell people all the time, it's like being in a house and you hate all the chickweeds in your lawn and you can't seem to get rid of them. So you decide, I'm going to move to another house, another property. Right. You move to another house, no property, there's no chickweeds. But guess what? There's crabgrass.
Right.
So, you fight through it. Like, that's the bottom line. I mean, I can't, and I don't know if you guys know this. Your mom knows, because she actually kind of coached us through it. But, we almost got divorced probably like 3 times. Yeah. And there was one time when it was serious, where at that point she gave me the option. We sat on the bed. She's like, we talked about this. She's like, so what do you want to do? And I had the option right there to say, let's just call it a day. We tried. Yeah. And we would have walked away amicably, not yelling. But the thing with me personally is I have this thing where I say, all I can do is all I can do. But the most problem I find with most humans is we never truly, truly do all we can do.
Right.
And so I told her, and I sat there and I said, look, if the whole checklist of what I could have done, if I checked all of it off, honest before God, then there literally was nothing else I could do, then I would get divorced and, quite frankly, wouldn't lose sleep over it.
Right.
But the moment I kind of ran a checklist over, okay, what role do I play in this? The very first thing Holy Spirit told me was, well, the last fight you guys had, when she said that to you, you didn't have to respond, but you did. And you guys argued, and then you talked about some other. So I was like, okay, well, right there.
Right.
I said, there was something I could have done. I said, as long as I have one item on my plate that I could have done, I don't have a license to divorce.
That's a good way to
And
put it. That's good.
That was it. That was it. Like, I have to know I left it all on the field. And I haven't left it all on the field yet. There hasn't been anything where we've argued where there wasn't one iota of that argument that I wasn't responsible for. And as long as that's the case, I can't go anywhere.
Yep.
Yeah, that's true. There's always two involved, and you got to, when you reconcile it, you know, it's got to all come out in the wash, and it's just so freaking hard sometimes.
Oh, it is.
It is. But I saw, oh my gosh, it's a shame this isn't a video. I have on a shirt because I did a speaking series called So What? And on my shirt right now, I'm wearing it. It says #So What?
I saw that in your video today.
Yeah, and because that's my response. Whenever people are like, oh my God, it's so hard. I'm like, so what?
Yes. I wondered
that's
about
my
that.
response to you. So what? You act like it's hard is like a reason.
Right.
That's no reason. I said, name one thing worthwhile in life that's not hard. Please tell me.
Yes.
And you would never be able to respond.
I love that.
Ever.
I swear,
Ever.
you need to when we come to Atlanta next time, we need to come see you, and you just need to give one of your talks to my daughters. Because,
oh my gosh.
because you know what? It's circling back to what you're doing and why you're doing it. It as a parent, like I said at the beginning, of teens, I appreciate it because we can say the same thing you're saying until we are blue in the face. But because you're someone different,
right.
you know, and you're not their parent, you're very trendy, you're very up in everything, they would listen to you more.
Yeah, and that's I just did a thing on the radio. I was like, look, let me tell you something. These past 10, 12 episodes I've done, I said, there isn't one thing I've said that I guarantee you guys haven't heard before.
Probably, but it's just different.
Sometimes it's different when it just comes from different people. Sometimes the light just goes off, and that's why we have all these people doing it. You know what I mean? You didn't get it from Tony Robbins. You didn't get it from Pastor Dollar. You didn't get it from Joel Osteen. Oh, but the janitor said it, and all of a sudden the light went off.
Exactly. It just takes
that's just how it works.
It takes that certain someone that you can relate to really make it make sense for you.
Right.
I mean, we're all that way. Even as adults, we're probably the same way. Where
100%.
you know, I know there's things that Jeff's brought to me and said this and this, and I said I've said that to you before. Oh, but Joe Rogan said it. Oh, Joe Rogan said it. So therefore, now he understands what it means.
Yeah.
Oh.
He has a little bit of a man crush stone on Joe Rogan.
I love Joe Rogan.
I mean, I do too. Don't get me wrong. I would have loved to have gone and seen him back in Columbus this past weekend.
Yeah, it's Friday. I
wish I could have seen him, but no. Jeff has this little love thing for Joe Rogan that I think he would probably leave me for Joe if Joe was willing.
That's hilarious. Now you'd really be in the
Yeah,
closet.
exactly.
I don't think I would. There's an element of that I would like it. I would like the relate, but there's one element of that relationship that I just would not enjoy. So.
Oh, that is.
I'm with you, bro.
But I'd like to hang out with him.
Oh my gosh. Okay, one more thing before we let you go, because we don't want to take up a lot of your time. Do you remember when my girls came and sang in your studio, right?
I do. Yep.
Okay.
Party.
We still talk about that. It is the funniest thing, and I wish I could find the CD. Your guy gave me a CD, and I can't find it now. But they came to your studio, and I think you put them behind the microphone that Justin Bieber sang behind, or something.
Yeah.
And they got all giddy, or maybe they sat in a chair he sat in, or something.
Yeah, it was a microphone. It was a vocal booth.
Yes, and then they sang. Was it Selena Gomez or?
Probably. I think it was Selena Gomez.
It was.
Selena Gomez or the other girl that just.
It was Selena Gomez.
Okay.
It was Selena Gomez. Yeah.
Okay, they sang that song, and we still talk about it, and they start laughing. They get so embarrassed about it, and I show them the pictures. That seems like it was yesterday. Time goes so fast, Stone.
It does. And I see the pictures of them on Instagram. I'm like, what the heck is going on?
I know, right?
Pray for me.
Oh, my gosh.
I know, man. You are just estrogen drowning.
And these boys, man, they're over here all the time.
Oh.
I would love for you to be able to talk to Brooke's boyfriend. We love this guy.
Hey, you know what? Have me over as that uncle.
Right.
Because first of all, he's gonna look at me funny for obvious reasons. Like, that's your uncle?
Right.
And I'm like, yep, I am. And if you want, I'll have like my wife beater on. I can put on my wave, my do rag. You know what I mean? I can do the 9 because it's not like I haven't worn those before. And I'm like, yo, what's up, son? Come here, let me holler at you.
Yeah, right. We'll have to bring him. We'll have to bring him with us maybe when we come to Atlanta next time because
he's a great kid.
he is.
He just needs to know life will be short if he screws up.
Exactly.
That's it.
Exactly. Well, we appreciate you taking the time to talk to us tonight.
No, it was fun, guys. I appreciate it.
Maybe we can do it again.
Well,
absolutely. I would love to do it, man. I hope this thing blows up. You guys have a fun platform, and of course, you're always fun to talk to anyway. I mean, I might be biased, but I don't think so.
Oh, thanks. We appreciate that. When we come to Atlanta next time, we'll bring our stuff, and maybe we can do it like in person.
We don't even need to bring our stuff. He's got a studio.
Oh, true.
There it is.
True.
There it is. So you guys will have a well, I can ask you that later, but yeah, it's good.
We will do that. But thank you so much, Stone.
Now, tell us again. You said you're in the process of writing a book.
Yeah. It's called Success Matters. My goal is to have it done, within the next 8 months.
Awesome.
I've already started on it, but I figured I'd be done by now. But I want this thing to be a bestseller, to be honest with you. So I'm going to take my time with it.
Love it. I can't wait for it to come out. We'll be
buying it.
Snatch that up real quick.
Thank you. But if you ever want to, like around between 7:30, between 7:30, 7:50 Saturdays on KISS 104.1 in Atlanta. They stream online. If you guys ever remember, you can catch me on there.
Yeah, we'll check it
do
out.
It, man. I'll put it on the calendar.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, you guys. Love you guys.
All right, we
love you too, man.
Good talking to you.
Bye.